Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. Before we get into all things wrestling, I want to just take a second because we lost somebody in the IWC this week, and he was a friend of mine, and a lot of folks were truly impacted with his time on Earth and now even in passing, and that's no other than Trey D of We Love Wrestling. I gotta tell you, I don't know if I've ever met a more positive guy who's really poured like so much into this community, and really in a very humble way. But you know, for his time and what he's done and the impact he's left and everybody he's touched, he's truly going to be missed. And he's a person that I commended for spotlighting wrestlers and promotions and outlets and brands, folks that deserves the attention. You know, the folks that's working hard, but may not have really gotten over the hump or maybe not getting that total exposure. And for somebody who was running an outlet with over 200,000 followers on YouTube, was very unselfish in ensuring that these folks were given the platform, the spotlight, so that other folks would put them on the radar. So Trey D, we love wrestling. We definitely going to miss you. And as he would always say, and as the motto go, if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. Rest in peace to an icon. Tonight on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, we will definitely be talking about all of the new crown champs. A lot of them. We're going to talk about the ones that, well, either surprise us, the one we're rooting behind, to kind of see how it's going to play out. We got the WWE Draft. Man, am I excited to talk about that, along with the NFL Draft is tonight. So it's like well timing on that one. Probably hit the algorithm with some views on that and some other stuff. So yeah, we got a full show tonight. Let's kick it off as we always do with our intro video, and then we'll be back.
Big Gold Belt, 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 Big Gold Belt. All I really want is that Big Gold Belt, 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 Big Gold Belt. All I really need that Big Gold Belt.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. The team is here, minus Marcellus, because I am 1,000% confident he ditched us to watch some NFL. I tell you,
I know he did.
The dude is not loyal. He's not loyal. And I'm going to say it on the record here. He's not loyal. If it's something football related, he's out. But it's all good. We still here. Will, Jamal, Damian, myself, Najir, ready to give you an hour of all things pro wrestling. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Not bad. You know, I don't watch football, so God the hell with the draft.
I'm a Giants fan, so I don't care.
Oh, the lowly Commanders have the number 2 pick tonight. I expect them to do nothing with it. I am not going to try and talk anything up there at all.
As a Carolina Panthers fan, who would have had the first pick?
Man,
don't even have a pick in the first round. I'll see you all later in that talk. But nonetheless, now we're going to talk some pro wrestling. And you can follow us on all social media at Big Gold Belt and at the website at biggoldbelt.com. And if you go to biggoldbelt.com/live, then you are plugged in with us live right now, where if you are watching us live, get in the comments, be a part of tonight's conversation and discussions, all things pro wrestling. We got some new champs, folks, across the board. Trick Williams, Swerve Strickland. Oh, my God. Tongue twister there. Willow Nightingale, Becky Lynch. All being crowned champions in their respective promotions. And all of them are all different circumstances. And everyone's road to their victory is all particularly different. We're just going to kind of make this a little bit of a round table here. We'll start off with you, Damien.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 4 named, which one were you either most excited for? Which one are you most excited to see what's next with them as a champ?
I was most excited to see Swerve finally reach that accomplishment that a lot of us, especially who watched the Independents, saw him coming out to Shaka Khan, ain't nobody, in some of the worst bars I've ever gone to watch professional wrestling. And to see him finally climb that mountain after WWE dropped the ball with him, in my opinion, trying to make him Isaiah Swerve Scott. And it was a long time coming. I was afraid they weren't going to pull the trigger on it, to be honest. I thought they were going to try to make him the underdog, trying to finally accomplish the dream, as it were. But I'm very curious to see now what the ratings, being that AEW's ratings are kind of iffy, what the viewership's going to be like, what the live events are going to look like, because none of the original favorites are champs except for the Bucks in the tag division, obviously. But as far as singles competitors go, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The one I'm most disappointed for, I feel bad for Willow.
I don't know if that was your question or not.
Well, it's a question I'm throwing in there. I'm disappointed for Willow.
We got other folks that got talking. He ready to throw some under the bus. We'll come back to that. Jamal, you sir, who's the champion you're rooting for, most excited to see crowned, and or you're looking forward to seeing what their story will be after they're newly currently being champ.
Well, the only champion out of the only newly crowned champion that I actually like is Willow Nightingale. I'm not particularly interested in what any of the other ones are doing. It will be interesting to see where they go past the pay-per-view. Double or Nothing's coming up. Ironically, I'm wearing the shirt. I just happened to wear this to work today. It is going to be interesting to see if Willow can actually keep some momentum, that she's had, because she was championship material. Like Willow and Athena, from the time they walked in the door, are championship material. Now, Athena's playing off in Narnia somewhere behind the play wall of honor. Bring her to TV, please. Willow is right there where she needs to be. Now, there are some storylines there. Will Stokely and Chris Statlander, turn on her? That's a possibility. Will just Statlander turn on her? That's a possibility. Are any of the other women that are missing ready to come back? Like, Hayter, Dr. Baker, that's another thing. Will Monet not necessarily finish the story, because obviously they're going to have their match, but they have unfinished business from Monet's injury that nobody, really remembers a year or so ago. So there is a story there. It'll be interesting to see what they do, because to be honest with you, considering how flat Monet's entrance into AEW is she even the champion that we need at this time? Or do they just go, nope, this ain't working, turn her heel and let her be, the female Tony Khan? So, because she is a CEO of something.
Oh, here we go.
So, the theme song told me she's a CEO, and we can't really look into that. So I think that's the question for me. After the pay-per-view, who should be the champion? And the way that Monet has come in, because, she is a CEO, but her first foray is into the secondary title. Yeah, that we don't need to talk about that. But considering what it is, I think it should be Willow after the pay-per-view. My bias aside, I just don't think that Monet is not necessarily deserving, but I don't think she's what the women's division needs right now, as she is right now. And I think that Willow carrying it after the pay-per-view in a month might be a surprise, the surprise that everybody that should happen versus the surprise that people are expecting.
I'm with it. What about you, Will? We'll come back to that point in a little bit.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely stuff to expand on there. I will throw out new NXT champion Trick Williams. Whoop that Trick, because Lord knows he has had a rise over the last few months that has just caught fire, very, very quickly. He's come into his own. Part of that is probably he's had a good run working directly with Ilya Dragunov, chasing that title, which Lord knows is going to raise anybody's game. But the title win Tuesday night literally had the Performance Center shaking when he got that title win. The cameras literally shook from people
Yeah,
jumping
eat
up and
dirt,
down.
Full Sail. They ain't never did that.
Those stands were shaking. There was a hell of an energy in that room for that title win. So as far as that moment goes, that was a hell of a memorable moment for the NXT highlight reel of him finally winning the title and getting his crowning moment. Now, where it goes from here is going to be very interesting.
It goes to the Apex Center. That's where it goes.
We're having the UFC Apex in June. So now he's out to run with the ball. But Lord knows he's got folks behind him. I mean, hell, that time he showed up on SmackDown a few weeks back, back for WrestleMania, he had the whole damn building in the palm of his hand.
They put that so smart too.
He is not just an NXT guy at this point. He is known. He has got the folks behind him. Now this is the true test of, can he run with the ball? Can he carry this on his own when he doesn't have a veteran on the other side of the ring from him to really, help him out there? So it's going to be very interesting next few, weeks, next month or two through that Battleground pay-per-view in June to see how Trick Williams does here. But I'm hoping I got big hopes for the guy, because right now he's firing on all cylinders, but now he's got to show, can he step up to pull this off over the next couple months? Kind of a similar situation to Willow in a lot of ways, where the crowd's behind him and wants to see them in that role. And in both cases, I think it's a situation where you shouldn't switch up on it right now, regardless of what else you have going on with other people. It's like, folks are into these folks. So, let them have a run. Let them carry the ball for a bit. We're going into, end of spring, beginning of summer. There's no big, mega huge things coming up. Let's ride this for a bit. Let's see where this wave takes us. In both cases, that's my thought.
Yeah, I'll be the shortest of answers here. I agree with Trick. I'm definitely don't have much to say about Becky. I think we did that last week. I think Trick is now the latest example of, not only does the NXT system work, but it also can go even as far as saying that there is some small but yet far in between success stories of NXT 2.0, and he's another example of that. He's easily primed to be on the main roster. You can plug him in right now. That little appetizer we got before just lets you know that he's ready. But yeah, with the championship, what's the saying? The crown is as heavy as the head. How does that go? I don't know. But the point is, with him being the champion and have to be on top, the story of him chasing, it worked a lot.
Yeah.
And
There he is. He's back.
Yeah, it worked. The story of him chasing, it worked a lot with Mello and now with Dragunov, and now that he's the champ, defending. I know it's the whole thing about being the champ, and it's harder to stay on top, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But no, he now becomes the face of the brand. He's not only the guy you rooted for success, almost the American dream story here, but no, he's the guy that you legitimately is on top and you want to root for him. But what happens when you want to root for somebody else just as equally as much is the very interesting dynamic that I'm waiting to see. Who's the next person that steps up? And could that next person popularity outshines Trick? But nonetheless, I feel Trick has God-given talent. I know Shawn Michaels has been his biggest supporter since day one. Almost like a proud father seeing him win. And I think he's definitely going to be really primed for a very lengthy, successful run. And if it was to be cut short, expecting him to see on the main roster within a week, because he's just that ready. But I was super excited. And as you mentioned, Will, seeing the videos of the entire Performance Center shake, it's incredible. It's really incredible. I was like, oh shit, like that thing is bouncing in there. So yeah, it's a special moment to seeing somebody really with them really telling good stories that had you really much engaged and rooting for this person the entire time. So definitely Trick there for me. I guess to circle the block with this, because Damian wanted to throw in his
jump the gun. My bad.
his negative comments here. I'm not going to say. I guess the more responsible question is, who are you more worried about their run, considering circumstances or the company or just the next person up? Is there anybody that jumps out to you instantly? Jamal, I know you touched on it a lot with Mercedes and Willow, so we'll put that one on the table right now. Will, you were going to comment on that. What is your thoughts about Willow's run, knowing that Mercedes is waiting for her at Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I think they're in a really tough spot because that AEW fan base is all about Willow. Willow is likable. Willow has that charm that you just cannot manufacture, that just comes through the screen. That there's a genuineness to Willow that anyone has been around her that just it's magnetic. It's genuine, and you can't manufacture that kind of thing. Whatever the reason is, Mercedes is just not clicking since she showed up. And there's a lot of talk that
the gimmick.
Yeah,
I keep telling y'all it's the gimmick.
Yeah, well, that's been a lot of the talk, that she's too WWE. It all feels too plastic. It feels too manufactured, and it doesn't. There's nothing that feels real about it, And hell, compared to Willow, it's a night and day difference. And Lord knows the problem here is going to be we all know Mercedes did not come cheap.
Nope.
So you got to justify that darn check, but at the same time, if something's working, you don't want to cut that off just for the sake of, we're spending all this money. There's all these zeros on this check. We got to make her champ. So what Jamal was saying, I think the only thing that might work here is if they're using this to set up a heel turn. But even then, I don't like the idea of taking the title off of Willow this quick. That's my big concern when it comes to Willow, because Mercedes need to fine tune that character, whether it's flipping her or whatever, or just changing the presentation. They need to do something, and just making her champ right now ain't the move. I think it hurt Willow tremendously. Right. It'd be cutting her off at the knees when she's got like a momentum right now that like you can't just flip a switch and get that back.
Yeah. All right, Damien.
Firstly, Najir, heavy is the head that wears the crown was the phrase you were looking for.
Thank you. You could have backed me up.
I was like, wait a minute, I know
ago.
this. But to everybody's point, like Jamal and Will are sharing essentially my sentiment, where I want Willow to succeed. Like, she's it. But like Will said, there's a paycheck. So how do we protect both parties given the investment into Mercedes Moné? Now, I'm not a booker by any stretch of the imagination. I don't typically do this stuff. Aside from the heel turn to keep the title on Willow, how you do the heel turn will matter as well, because she can't get pinned like Diesel when Brett pinned Diesel at Survivor Series because they showed weakness, and then Diesel went bonkers and powerbomb Brett. It needs to be something along the lines where it ends in a DQ, where Mercedes is close to winning the title, and something happens, some schmaz happens, where then she loses it, and then she starts attacking everybody and forming her MLM group that I've been pitching for like 5 weeks now, since she's the boss of something. But that is my biggest worry, because you put the title on this person who has a history with Mercedes, thinking, shoot, she's a sacrificial lamb. That's what I was worried about. But now hearing both of your points, I'm with y'all. Like, there's a way to get around this. It's just whether or not Tony's going to pull the trigger based on his selling. I don't think he can pull this trigger effectively, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, but I do worry for Willow's sake, because she's earned it. We all do the cheap, you deserve it, but no, she really does. She was behind the paywall, to quote Jamal, and now she's in front of everybody showing what she's got. So let's keep it on her. That's what I'll say to that.
Jamal, before you get in there, I want to say that Mercedes being held out to Double or Nothing is obviously a marketing move. Can't blame her. She is their biggest star. You do one of their biggest pay-per-views in one of the most lucrative cities when it comes down to combat sports. So why not hold out to her? But I said it definitely devalues everything about her being there by, giving her the big, and I get it. The stars align. You want her to debut in her hometown, so I get it. But like, since that debut to win Double or Nothing, it's been very meh, and I don't expect it to change. I would also say that AEW very purposely and strategically put her near Willow because of the previous injury and the potential storyline that they can capitalize off of, but also very purposely keeping her from Toni Storm, because the moment you put Mercedes near anybody, that train momentum is going to slow down. So if you had to take the lesser of the two, you said Julia Hart, Willow, who before the Mercedes probably would have been Willow with a lengthy run, but ultimately they want to put a strap on Mercedes as quick as possible, which unfortunately gives me the feeling that we're going to see Willow, who will have the accolade of being the New Japan champion and the TBS champion, but she'll be back in Purgatory, and I mean it in the most respectful way, but the Purgatory of Honor with Athena after this. I think
Purgatory of Honor. I like that. Keep that.
I don't think there is any thought about what to do with Willow after this. I think it is just like, we got Mercedes. It's time to get our dollars out of this, and that's it. And I think it's unfortunate because I think biasly we all can say we watched Willow her entire career, and when you talk about what AEW initially stood for, and I mean, we can even go back, and I want to say, Jamal, you might have been there, but I remember the last Nova Pro show when there was other folks there who had got AEW contracts at the time, Penelope Ford being one. I remember thinking like, okay, well, if they're really down on the indie levels, recruiting people and hiring people, I started to think about other names. I'm like, I would absolutely want Willow to get a contract today. And that's been my campaign up until she recently got her announcement. So like, because this infectious personality that she has is so authentic. It has never lost steam. And is fantastic wrestler. How do you not root for somebody like this? And I think it would be so detrimental to not just her and her fan base if they don't handle this with care, that they just treat this with almost disregard of everything that this character and this person means, just to crown Mercedes, and Mercedes takes this and off to the races, and again she ends up in Purgatory of Honor. I really, really am worried, and as Damien said, I'm not a booker, but I'm really worried that this isn't going to be like a Admiral breakup here. Like I feel like this is gonna be like, the court has awarded you this. Good luck to you over here. We'll see what happens. I hope there's legitimate thinking and planning for both parties here. That's it. I don't know. Jamal, you initially brought this point. You had time to hear all of us talk. I'm sure the gears are turning. With this being your concern initially before the question is even posed, now with everything being said, how do they make this make sense?
They don't. That's kind of the thing. They have the tunnel vision. The train's already left the station. This is where they're going to go to come hell or high water. I think that it would be wise of them to pivot, to let Willow have her summer, 3 months. They're not doing 4 pay-per-views a year. We talked about this last week and how they're stepping up the amount of pay-per-views they're going to do, which means that they're stepping up the amount of inflection points where they can pivot and do a thing. They have people down the ladder that are, that could be inserted in that position if for whatever reason the fans grow tired of Willow. But what we do know is that as of right now, Mercedes' introduction has been flat, and they're kind of fast tracking her into a title picture. And they wanted to do that at one of their big 4 pay-per-views, legacy pay-per-views anyway, for all of the reasons that we just named. So the question is why? Now, it's not a matter of, is Mercedes a heel or not? I mean, she hasn't really done anything that would suggest, she was attacked. That's not a heel tactic. So, but also, as a CEO, as a businesswoman, she doesn't really evoke the imagery of what a person that owns a business does. Who are her employees? She needs goons. She needs henchmen. She needs, people. That's a thing also. So that's why I say what I would do is I would have Statlander turn on Willow and have Stokely you go along with her.
Ooh.
And then, of course, Stokely can speak for Mercedes.
Yes.
And then, because, you know, why? Absolutely.
That'd be a hell of a pairing. That
yes.
really would.
Stokely can speak for Mercedes. Mercedes could turn into the editor from The Devil Wears Prada and be that CEO if she's going to be a heel. I can't think of her name. I think Cassandra. I don't know. But yeah. But either way, she could be that Meryl Streep for The Devil Wears, and then go that way, and Statlander could be her number one goon. I'm not saying
actually buy into it.
What's that again?
I actually really buy into that.
Yeah, we've pitched this before, so I'm glad it's getting a retread. Good.
Yeah, I know. It's just all of a sudden making a lot more sense.
You wanted her to be CEO of Temu. I mean, there's a difference though.
No,
not the CEO of
Temu. Temu.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I'm saying.
Hold on. One thing I want to say really quickly is that the one thing AEW has religiously done bad is there's really no defined heels and faces with that too.
Oh, okay.
But there's literally no defined heels or faces at this point now, because Mercedes, as you keep questioning, what is she? Why are you questioning this with, I don't know, Will probably got 30 years of pro wrestling knowledge, Damian 30 years, you 30 years, I got probably 20, and we're all questioning. We can't identify.
You put his a decade younger than us.
I mean,
you saw what that was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, like, we're legitimately saying, like, we can't tell what she is or not. And then also, too, like, I think it's a fair assessment to say, if you are riding on a gimmick of something, then where's the evidence that there's truth to it? So, like, the CEO thing keeps coming about, and we keep saying, what does that mean? I honestly think, like, I've never liked the boss gimmick, as we know. I definitely do not like the CEO gimmick, because Swerve is legitimately doing that. And now that he's the champ, this really deflates hers to 0 at this rate now. And
well, never mind. You have EVPs, CEOs, too much overlap in these moguls. Yeah, I mean, come on, too much of the same thing on the same show.
I think I don't know, man. And then on top of that too, like, what's even worse about this? If you even mention the Hollywood appeal to Mercedes, you're like, oh, well, Tony Storm's kind of doing a Hollywood thing really good right now and never even been in a movie. So it's like, what do you do at this rate? And it's just not looking good, because I feel like all of our frustrations are going to be taken out on Willow. Last thing I want to say really quick about Willow, I give it back to you, is that the only way I think that book can work is if Willow take an injury angle. We gotta sympathize for her a little bit more, and I think an injury angle is the only way. If they clean pin, I will not be on the show for the next 2 months. I'm done.
I don't think it's obviously not a clean pin, because Statlander and Stokely turn on Willow, making her the sympathetic babyface. But I do think that Mercedes needs to pick a side. You can't cut out here with your chest out, bravado, on 10 and go, hi guys, I'm just a kid from Boston, happy to be here. And then go, but I'm a CEO, bitch. That's not how that works. So to your point is that we don't know what this gimmick is. It needs to pick a direction. And if she's going to be Daniel Bryan, neither heel nor face, you need to give us a Daniel Bryan type match.
Yes.
Period. So either pick a lane or wrestle your ass off where we don't care about what you're here to do. So that's what that is. And unfortunately, promos aren't a strong suit. The ring work, we have to wait and see if it's up to AEW quality. But to be fair, my fondest memories of Mercedes is from NXT.
Yeah,
true.
So, and that's got to be 7, 8, 10 years ago. So that's where we are now. Whether or not she can do the work, we still haven't seen that. There's just a lot left on the table as we go into one of the bigger pay-per-views for them of the year. And that's why I would say the safe, soft answer would be to ride with Willow at least through the summer. An injury angle, nah, I think it's cheap. Hell, I actually think that Willow beats them both. But now we set up the rematch or whatever they want to do. But now we have some. If Willow wins, that gives, of course, motivation for Mercedes. She lost. She's a CEO. She never loses. So she's going to have to come back harder. She has goons. She has a stable. She's building something.
Bro.
And this is to the point of all of that. I say, Swerve is a mogul, sure. But when he won the championship, it wasn't like he was a mogul then. He won it with Nana and as his one guy. So so he kind of ditched the whole mogul thing as not as like entirely, but he's definitely not, puffy in the ring.
He didn't need goons, but I will say, like, still though, like, attention to detail with the presentation. Like he says, like, these are my new wrestling shoes that were made for me for this match. He came out with the Killmonger. Like, there's a presentation aesthetic that you're like.
The Bucks did that too a couple years ago. But
I mean, regardless of the shoes, not. But I mean, to your point though, you're talking about the Bucks, who Will says people of influence, powers, and with titles. Mercedes has yet to have some type of branding deal or anything that backs the whole CEO thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, and you can see that real quick though.
To that though, they have that, and then they let Jade go to replace her with the thing that they're doing with Jade. That will always be the elephant in the room for me.
1,000%. But also the other really big factor here is that I've been saying this since the beginning, is that no one takes your brand to the next level unlike WWE. They are the epitome of, you go there, expect for all opportunity. As soon as Jay got there, got a Super Bowl commercial. We're not going to overlook that like that was something slight, Yeah. So like, understand,
100%.
Nobody can elevate your brand like WWE, and 100%. everybody recognize that. Last thing I was going to say, this is strictly fantasy booking as a fan here, but I'll tell you, man, it would be no better time in the world to have Solo come out in Double or Nothing to back Willow and to get them to retag. Some of my favorite days of Willow.
Solo Darling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not Solo Secor.
Yeah, no, that's
not the bloodline.
I was like, hey, Willow Samoan too?
like, damn, we this draft really gonna have people moving all around.
Is there anyone left in Samoa? Like,
Will, go to the commercial, man.
All right, folks, halftime coming up. We'll be back after the commercial with an indie spotlight. We got to talk about the draft, and I know tonight we got to talk about Tony Khan at some point and whatever the heck he had going on last night. Stay with us, folks. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We'll be back right after this.
A little birdie told me, everybody, that you may be interested in doing some sponsorship and advertising opportunities with us here at Big Gold Belt Media. You know what? You might as well, because we are the golden standard for all of your media needs. Why would you want to go anywhere else? Besides, all of your pre-roll ads, your mid-roll ads, as well as your on-air reads are going to be done by me, Damian G. Yeah, professional broadcaster, Damian G. We do all types of social media promotions. That means your podcast, your IG, your Facebook, your Twitter, and your business website all get shouted out on our network here at Big Gold Belt Media, where we cover wrestling, movies, comics, and more. And you can find out more information and make those inquiries, kids, because, limited time offer here at biggoldbeltgroup@gmail.com. Again, that is biggoldbeltgroup@gmail.com. Why would you want to go anywhere else? I wouldn't. Well, I work here, but I still wouldn't even if I didn't. So again, Big Gold Belt Media for all your sponsorship and advertising opportunities, your podcast, your IG, your Facebook, your Twitter, all of your social media platforms, as well as any business website you want us to promote on our show. BigGoldBeltGroup@gmail.com, and let them know Damien G sent you.
This man Damien said, Solo.
I just want to make sure everybody knew you meant Solo Darling with the bird and the bee.
Clarification, that's all.
That's got to be top tier funniest thing ever.
Because we know Solo as in Solo Darling. I just want to make sure the viewers at home knew what we were talking about.
You know what though? Before we get to the indie spotlight, I'm very curious of a fan who has just recently become a fan of Willow, and what does that feel like, and sort of like what's that experience in watching her? Because again, we've been watching her for years. I'm just curious about anybody who's this may be her first time seeing her, and just be thinking like, wow, she's like so infectious. Like, yeah, she's amazing, and everything about her just like it just glows. Nonetheless, let's talk some
I would
indie
hope the
spotlight
kids
stuff.
like her. The kids are gonna love her.
They have no
That's
choice.
number one. Yeah.
Yeah. Willow's like Blippy, Ryan's World, Bluey,
Blippy. Come on.
all mixed in
Blippy?
one. Yeah,
Dude,
like
don't do Willow like that with Blippy. Come
man,
on.
listen, the
Bluey
kids
I
love
get, but not Blippy.
the kids love them. That's why they thriving in the way they do. They just got a certain type of like attraction that kids just go crazy for.
You got to get the indie spotlight in here. I'm cutting you off on Blippy.
Go ahead, Jamal.
That's just trauma Will talking about. He's like, I hear that man one more time.
Hell no.
Go for it, Jamal.
All right, then. So this week, the Indie Spotlight, we're talking Taco Mania, and it will happen on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. Out there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the South Side Works. It's a whole taco party. It's actually the Taco Mania Cinco de Mayo block party sponsored by Beers of the Burg and Enjoy Wrestling based in Pittsburgh. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, South Side Works, 2 to 8. They're going to have food trucks. I'm very interested in Mr. Bugoki and Peter My Shawarma, but since it is, the Beers of the Burg, you got your breweries out there too. Edith Surreal, Ziggy Haim, Gummy Boar, MV Young, and more on tap from the wrestling side of things. So you have a ring, you have a bunch of food trucks, you have Taco Mania, the Cinco de Mayo block party at Southside Works in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That is May 5th from 2 to 8. It's an all-day affair, so Enjoy Wrestling is the name of the promotion that's going to be partnered with Beers of the Burg, and it's the Beers of the Burg Festival. You can get your tickets at beersoftheburg.com, where you can get like your taco platter sampler and entry to the event. So it's a whole thing. Get your tickets sooner than later. Do it now, actually. Don't even wait. Beersoftheburg.com. That's BURGH because Pittsburgh. Beersoftheburg.com for tickets. Taco Mania, Cinco de Mayo block party, and that's the Indie Spotlight for this week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Let's get right into it. Dynamite closed out in a very shocking manner. That everyone is talking about. And I have my eyes glued to my phone because I'm trying to watch the NFL draft because I'm trying to see what's going to happen with this gimmick that's going on right now. I want to see if Tony Khan is going full tilt with this whole thing. Nonetheless, first question for everybody. Rank the ending of Dynamite because many are calling this one of the best Dynamite endings in a very long time. I won't go. Listen.
Who dares mention that phrase? I give that a -3.
These got to be the same people who are talking about Danielson and Ospreay having like the best match ever. Got to be the same people.
I mean,
yeah.
So all right,
good.
Nonetheless, on a 1 to 10, how would you scale
-3.
the ending? The ending 1 through 10, sir.
1.
How would you scale the ending of Dynamite? And we'll get into the specifics of it. I just want to see where everybody's temperature is at with this. Seriously, Damien, what's yours? 1, Will?
I'll be a little more generous and I'll go 4. I mean, it is rough. That bump was did not get the reaction I think they were hoping for.
Also, though, please also focus on Jack Perry being reintroduced and what does that look like, and what does that mean? And then you also kind of equate the video footage that they showed of Punk. All of that now, like factor in that. Does that now make more sense to you all?
It doesn't help it for me. I think it's adding another layer on and it's digging the hole deeper that they've already dug, in my opinion.
Fair enough. All right, so Jamal, where do you 1 through 10? Where would you rank the ending?
2.78653.
So not even enough for pie, but
No. We less than pie. We less than pie.
Yeah. I'm never a big
so none
fan.
of us are any of us feeling it. Where are you two, James?
I'm trying to understand it.
I'm not a big fan of promoters getting their hands wet. Outside of name that won't be mentioned. Back in the Attitude Era. So for me, definitely a 3 for me. But I will say the promoter taking a bump wasn't a fan of. But I'm digging Jack Perry coming back and getting that heat. Because that's a person who was a true babyface and kind of see that the heel thing is kind of working. The fans are reacting, whether you like it or not. That's part of the work. So I'm not mad at all. I tell you what, though, you can chime in all here. I tell you that Tony's injury, with that means him being removed, now puts the power into the MVPs, the EVPs lap.
Ugh.
How will they mishandle their power? I'm all for it. I am all for the abuse of power from the Bucks and the Elite and Jack Perry and so on. That right there is intriguing. And it had to come by the sacrificial lamb of Tony Khan. And if that removes him from everything, then cool. I'll take it. His dad coming out definitely could have been without that. Also, Chris Statlander being in the ring smiling lost all the legitimacy.
A lot of concern there.
A lot of concern. But ultimately, as I was talking about the NFL draft, Tony Khan has been spotted wearing a neck brace in things today in regards to the NFL draft, and the NFL.com has also dropped an article about what happened at Dynamite, which is crazy to say. This is one of the first times that I can recall in recent memory that AEW is getting mainstream media attention for something.
For an angle.
Yes, for an angle. So with that all being said, though, to kind of sum it up, because we definitely want to talk about the draft in a little bit. Where do y'all have any measure of interest of where the story goes beyond this? Tony Khan coming out, making peace with Perry. He ends up getting I don't know, a tombstone. I don't even remember what movie it was at this rate. Power Driver, nonetheless. And now he's out.
The Meltzer driver, to be specific.
He did take the Meltzer driver. That's right.
Yeah, the flip into the tombstone.
The EVP driver. That's right. Yeah. True. Do y'all have any level of interest of where this goes beyond this? Is this for you? If you just like are totally done with it, is there any way that can salvage this? What are your thoughts, gentlemen? Jamal? Will, go for it.
My issue with it is I don't have an interest in the people involved in it. I don't care about watching the Bucks. I don't care about watching Jack Perry. So it's like, regardless of how they execute it, these are people I don't have an interest in watching. So that's the biggest issue right there. And it's adding Tony Khan as like a character. That's the added layer of just like, he's so awkward as it is that I don't know how I'm supposed to buy into him. So like, it's just I don't know. It's like I can't see framing him as like some kind of diabolical promoter because he's too awkward to pull that off. You know, I mean, we all have seen him and how his awkwardness doesn't work for me. So everybody involved, there's no one involved that I have a reason to invest in to get me to care about it. That's my big issue.
Yeah.
So, for a number of reasons that we've kind of all touched on, the fact that everybody's an EVP or a boss or CEO, that's one problem. The fact that Tony Khan came out and his cavalry was Rick Knox and Bryce Remsburg. So a rogue employee assaults the literal owner of the company.
The referees, man.
And the zebra herd comes out. Aubrey, is keeping the peace. And also, none of the heels came out of the tunnel to, So wait a minute. So you had half the locker room in the back. You had Papa Khan, who was out there, stopping by. Because why wouldn't he be there? He's in Jacksonville. Then you had the zebras make it out first. Good on them. Mm-hmm. And then the face side of the locker room makes it out. And there ain't one damn cop in sight. Now, how am I supposed to believe this? That's one thing. And even if you are an EVP, assault is still a crime. So what am I supposed to believe? Now, if he was injured enough to be seen in a neck brace tonight at the NFL draft or on Collision or whatever the case may be, how am I supposed to believe that this is just okay and he's not going to press charges immediately when this is the same guy that goes after people on Twitter and gets them taken down and gets them, like, we've seen how petty he is.
You haven't mentioned Punk yet.
Also, this is the guy that literally said, and I quote, "I feared for my life," when Punk yelled at him. And we know that because we saw the video. Well, this guy should have had a Ric Flair heart attack in the middle of the ring when he actually got physically assaulted. He should have been carried out of the ring on a stretcher after taking a gut punch that he sold like a shotgun blast from Elmer Fudd and the Meltzer driver. They should have had EMTs helicopter him out of Daly's place. Open the roof. Bring in a helicopter with a stretcher.
Get it back out of there.
So go all in with that. Okay, with the cheese.
And then, so down, this is what I want. Since we're here, and since they're doubling down on stupid, which was the video, and then this angle, then go all out. I need him in a full body cast. I want Papa Khan to come into Winnipeg next week and is on a fucking horse with a scimitar. I want somebody to get a spear launched at him. I mean, I really want like a brigade, and of course, as Khan as an on-screen character, since we're here now. And I do want him as an on-screen character. I want him to be, I don't know who I wanted to be. The nerd from Despicable Me, that was like Gru's rival. I think that's who I'm envisioning. But I want him to be just a fucking rat, just like the biggest weasel nerd, Mark Zuckerberg. Or more Elon Musk, because Mark actually knows how to take a punch. Guy that he can be. So if we're going to double down this, if we're going to go down this road, then let's go all the way in.
Yeah.
However, we started off talking about how we got 4 new champions. Swerve is a first-time champion in AEW. Okay, cool. All of that's well and good. Why isn't your new champion closing the show? Out of all the things that we're talking about in AEW, we're not talking about the fact that Swerve is champion or what his next feud is going to be or whatever they're setting up for the pay-per-view that's in 4 weeks. We're talking about Tony Khan going to the NFL draft in a neck brace. They got a pay-per-view in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
That's definitely... Go ahead, Will.
We keep hearing the WCW comparisons, but it's Goldberg winning the title, but all the focus is on Hulk Hogan. It's with the Bucks storyline, the Punk shadow is still hanging over stuff. All that is still the biggest stuff going on in that company.
Well, the shadows, they keep digging up his body. Like what?
No, it's their doing. It's absolutely a choice. It is a choice they are actively making. That's the thing. They have no one to blame but themselves on that. It is, for whatever reason, this is the direction they have chosen.
So then they did this to Papa Raiden, right? I mean, clearly.
Papa Raiden, that's for
sure. Here we
go. Or was it
just
to justify the footage we saw a couple weeks ago with the Punk stuff?
Well,
it's another justification.
It just did not have to happen tonight. There's a lot of reasons why this is problematic because one, now the focus is not about the Jacksonville Jaguars draft, because now you're making Tony Khan Angle a component to this, which I'm hearing people even saying like, will that factor into how he drafts? Like, will he be physically
dropped on
unable?
His head, but somebody did a flip.
Yeah, will
he's
he
not
be physically unable to make a draft pick today? Is the question? It's definitely, this could have came next week without a doubt, and I get it that
honestly
you have to consider.
I need Tony Khan to speak into like the ALS Stephen Hawking fucking microphone.
No.
With the 32nd pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars pick.
Hey, Doug.
I need them to go
we're done.
Fucking in.
We're not seriously though. I two things I want to say. I know first thing I was going to say is like I understand that the schedule and the bookings of events is what really dictates everything. But the next thing I gotta say is, all seriousness, with how obnoxious the Bucks are being, I definitely could buy into Tony Khan doubling down. Matter of fact, with all the energy he spends on shaming other folks online, why not start an online rivalry with the Bucks? They both get at it. Give us that, if anything. Like do something like that. That would draw interest. That would get people involved. People love drama. People like things being messy. So go for it and make it believable. Make it believable and get a check at the end of it. But we need to move on to our last topic, and that is the WWE Draft. I need those rules because I don't have it pulled up right now. But the WWE Draft is coming starting tomorrow on SmackDown, and we are continuing with the second night of the draft on Raw. As a sports fan and as somebody who has complained every year about the legitimacy of the WWE Draft, I got to say the new rules have me peaked.
Yes,
I'm
the
waiting to
Triple H
see.
era of the draft is definitely going to be different. I can run down the rules if we want to start
Please.
there.
Let's do that.
So, okay, the rules that we will have in place for the WWE draft over the 2 nights with SmackDown and Raw. So, on SmackDown, there will be 4 rounds of picks. 16 total people will be selected. Well, 16 total picks, because some of these picks could be groups, as we've done in the past. On Raw, there will be 6 rounds, 24 total picks. Here's where it gets interesting, changes that we have not had in the past. Champions on each brand are protected. So champions cannot be drafted. They will be staying where they are. The only exception will be the women's tag team champions, which are eligible for draft. SmackDown will pick first on Friday. Raw will pick first on Monday. Rosters will lock into place on Monday, May 6th. And we have 2 draft pools for each night. A smaller pool for SmackDown, since it's only 2 hours, and a larger pool to select from on Monday, since we have the 3-hour show. And yes, NXT superstars are eligible. So that's the playing field that we're doing.
Does anybody have any problem with the rules as of right now? Just from the new rules announced. I want to start there before we go on.
I wish it weren't an actual draft, and I wish it was just like a free agency season. Because if you're a draft, what are you picking from? You're not picking from an outside source. You're just reshuffling the roster that you have, which is what free agency is.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they're just using buzzwords, and it works because the NFL draft will also be going on tomorrow too.
Yeah,
here's my thing.
If you're drafting from NXT. They're not.
That's what I would have preferred. I would have preferred that.
True, but NXT people will be eligible as well too. But I get it's just the buzz. It is the buzzword that they're using. It is absolutely, like you said, Jamal. But my thing I would keep saying is they need to take these drafts off the shows. I am annoyed by we recently drafted this person. They're gonna go wrestle or just something coincidental in the sense of like it just doesn't make sense or it takes away from the show. Honestly, too, like why not just book regular shows so that people get their money, the viewers get a full flesh episode of whatever.
Right.
Let the damn draft be a special on Peacock. Like do that. Make it a whole damn special and they do it right. The whole thing goes for 2 to 3 hours and just let it rip. And the fact that they did the combine as a special, the draft can't like, make it make sense here. I hate that it's still on the show. Other than that, the champions being protected, it almost seems laughable that that's a new rule because the title swap was never is the most ridiculous thing. Yeah, just ridiculous. Any other comments about this before we go to picks? And or is there any other suggestions you all would make to kind of, I guess I want to go as far as saying more legitimize the draft?
Stop calling it a draft. I think that's the best. They had the name perfect before. The Superstar Shakeup was the easiest way to get around this.
That sounds
like shaking up the rosters.
I hate that.
But now we have the draft, where in reality, like Jamal said, if it's not NXT, you're not picking from that minor league pool. You're just changing the furniture around. That's basically all you're doing.
I mean,
basically, they're moving the furniture around. And they're going to get a couple new pieces that you'll pull from NXT. It's pretty much the deal. It's like, all right, we're going to move this, and we're going to get a new sofa. I think that's essentially what you're getting.
On my left seat,
I think it would be much more interesting if you had a free agency period, and the free agency period could be this week, where trades are made and stuff like that, and the rosters are locked and then rocked. But what if there was a trade deadline?
Yeah,
I mean, we see what happens when the trade deadline is a thing where just before, let's say SummerSlam, you have a free agency period. Free agency week is not the Raw after WrestleMania, but the Raw after that. And that
God, I can see it right now. They'd be calling it the transfer portal. They got to be all timely with the terminology.
The transfer portal. I love it.
I like it. But then, of course, you have the the actual draft, which would be an NXT thing, and that could be at an NXT pay-per-view. Whatever the next one is. May or something like that. But there are other different ways to tie into that sports season, type of a thing where you can anticipate shakeups instead of just like, here's the draft, and it's done a different way every year. So so one thing I would like to see done is if they're going to have the draft and whatever, fine, just streamline it. I don't know what to expect from year to year of how they do it because the rules always change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this time, though, because The Rock is involved, TKO is involved, they're going to make sure that they're going to try to keep this as legitimate as possible. And I think the rules are an indication for it. I also think that the Netflix deal will have a say and a part in this as well, too.
Oh, no, I was already seeing the speculation that the Bloodline got to be moving to Raw, so Netflix gets like the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's not until January. They got time to figure that out. But I've
yeah,
definitely seen people speculating on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, though, I definitely want to see that, like, if everybody gets drafted and if people end up as a free agent, then I want to see people get signed. I don't want to see I'm a free agent so I can go to either show. Like, if you're a free agent, you shouldn't work. Like, that's it. Or you should go back to NXT, but you should not be able to just wander wherever I want and just let it be.
Right.
You shouldn't work.
Well, isn't that why we got Corbin in NXT now? Because he was a free agent?
But that's why Mustafa Ali was floating around because he was a free agent and it just didn't work. Yeah.
Okay, since we got a few minutes left, let's throw this out here. Who needs a change of scenery the most? Looking at these people.
Absolutely the next one. Yep.
Who needs a change of scenery? Any ideas? Who's stale and like really needs like a switch up here? I'm looking at the graphics they got up here. I'm like,
Liv Morgan.
Nah, not Liv.
No, Liv is gonna have that.
They gotta keep her wherever Rhea's gonna end up.
Yeah, we gotta keep her for that.
Let's see. I'm looking here.
Stale?
Judgment Day, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. If you switch them for the Bloodline.
Yeah, I think the key things be Judgment Day and Bloodline can't be on the same show. It'd be too crowded, I would think.
I don't know.
Well, I say trade the Bloodline and trade the Judgment Day to NXT. Let's see what happens over there until Rhea comes back.
I mean, and also too, like I want things to make sense. Like, why would you trade the Judgment Day when there's a champ on the Judgment Day? So you want to keep the Judgment Day together because it works. Like, if
wasn't that one of the rules? You don't trade the group, and then all of a sudden the New Day broke up.
They need to. That's the other thing they need to define. Like,
in the graphic here, says of course we know Damian Priest is a champ, so he won't be moving. But they do have Finn Balor and Dom Mysterio and old Big Head. The three of them are in the graphic. So apparently they are part of the pool. They're part of Monday's pool. So they are on there.
And then let's just keep it 100 here. Rather say you're the biggest Finn Balor fan. You're like, do you take Finn by himself? Or do you just get the other two as a package deal and it's all still one pick?
Yeah, we know damn well there's going to be package deals. It's just that's the kind of stuff they play fast and loose with.
Yeah,
with those package deals, like the LWO and like the Legato folks. So are they all packages?
That's all stale. Yeah, if you want to,
that's working. They just came off of WrestleMania. They should be good. They should be good. I like legitimately to the point of to the question is typically in this you say whoever's stale. Send them to NXT. So who was on that verge of saying like, man, they need to go polish up down there and come back and to see what happened? You know, somebody on that notion is where I'm thinking about when you say like, who needs a change?
Here's who needs a change. That should have been done better at WrestleMania. It's a new season. Pretty Deadly. Get them on Raw. They give them a fresh start.
That's a good one.
They need a fresh start because they got screwed over at WrestleMania. Those guys are ready to go, and they need the TV time. Give them a new environment. That's who I'm seeing.
I'm good with that.
Pretty Deadly.
And honestly, WWE's doing so many good storylines across the board. I mean, like one moment you can say like, oh, Maxine Dupree, oof. But like they're still working on that. That's starting to become a little bit intriguing. But I mean, now, what would you do with that? What do you do with Diamond Mine? You know, folks like that. You know, just Ivar just did something in NXT, which I think that was a smart move. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I think the draft should be intriguing because I think more or less it's going to be able to see, you know what? How about LA Knight?
He could use a switch. He could use a switch and a fresh start.
I could see him more going for the World Heavyweight Championship more so than the the main belt now that Cody has. it,
Cody.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta put some heels near Cody. That's got to be your top goal. Gotta
For
put some
SmackDown.
heels.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Cody needs challengers. He needs some Walter, Gunther. Gunther gotta be going over there.
Yeah,
They got that.
Ooh, that'd be
They got
good.
that show coming up in Berlin, and that's gotta be Cody and Gunther when they get to that.
And Dragunov need to be right behind him, right there, just waiting. So,
Who do you
There you
send
go.
down to
That's the
NXT
kind of
then?
stuff
Because we've
NXT,
tried
who's
Apollo
ready?
Crews back and
Natalia-
forth.
Natalia, but she's already
He's
there.
already there.
And of course, Tiffany just not Tiffany. Roxanne just won the title. Seemed like
Yeah.
Roxanne was coming, but Ilya's got to be coming up since he has dropped the belt.
I still
What
think
about Carmelo.
I still think Roxanne could come up and they have her do one more match and drop the title.
Have her
Also,
drop
too,
it real quick. Could
I don't think
happen.
no one should be you can't be drafted to NXT because they're not a show that's eligible for drafting. But I do like that NXT is always a minor league position for folks to go and get polished up before they come back up. And as long as they keep that type of synergy going, NXT is always going to be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think we're really. Go ahead, Jamal. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, looking at the roster and who I would move and stuff like that, I think really the focus is on who comes up from NXT. Not that there's so many people in Raw and SmackDown that need to change or they need a fresh start, and because there've been the injury thing and we just talked about new champions, and I really think that this is kind of like NXT is going to should make a bigger impact than just flipping people from left to right.
Correct.
Yeah. An
least that's what
infusion
I'm
of
hoping.
new blood. I think that's the move.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But then again, we also don't know, is Drew McIntyre going to stay? Is Becky Lynch and Rollins going to stay? If they do move or they don't, obviously Lynch being a champion, but if they move or they don't, then what does it look like after the fact? So it's not just the draft being right now. It's, well down the road heading towards SummerSlam. So, I just look for NXT to make a more of an impact going forward. I hope you do.
All right. Crazy to think that. I think I was looking at the list. Uncle Howdy, they don't have him quite eligible yet, but
he ain't shown up yet, so who knows? Maybe we have a mystery
QR
draft.
code.
a little glitch in the system will be kind of crazy. Nonetheless, we'll see. We'll be talking about it all next week when we come back. Each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually, Will, you should probably close the show.
You want me to close it out? Okay.
Yes,
Thursday.
You do that.
Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast is here each and every week, streaming live, Twitch, YouTube, X, all your social media platforms. We are streaming live each and every week. Podcast version drops the next morning on all your favorite podcast platforms if you're looking for the audio. On social media, of course, it's at Big Gold Belt across the board. And, of course, BigGoldBelt.com is the website, wrestling, movies, comics, and more. Folks, a lot we got into this week because it's a busy darn week. Who knows what we'll be talking about next week? We'll at least have the draft to unpack. I guess we'll have the next act of the Tony Khan saga, and who knows what else. So next Thursday, 8 p.m., be here, and we'll break it all down. Until then, folks, talk to you later. Take it easy, and we will see you soon.